Hello beautiful people and welcome to the latest episode of my vlog. This week I want to talk about something that's been on my mind recently, and I gave it a lot of thought and I found some new little insights that I wasn't aware of myself, so I thought I'd share it with you. But basically I want to talk about the biggest mistake you can make, the biggest sort of self-sabotage that you can commit mentally without realizing it if you're trying to build a long-term career. And in the arts, or I think this applies in life in general as well. But that is confusing really wanting something, really working towards something, really desiring a specific end goal, confusing that desire and drive with being automatically entitled to have it. Now, as we're regularly told, if you work really hard for something, you'll get it. And at some point, if we don't pay attention, sometimes I do it myself. It's like, in order to motivate yourself, you'd be like, that's a given, I'm gonna have it. So what happens is sometimes somebody else comes along in less amount of time, without you realizing it, just goes and gets it. And you're like, that was my thing. I've been working for this for years. This is where you get the classic, I've been in this business for 10 years and this no-name somebody shows up on TikTok and gets a lead role and there's no justice in this world, you know. And it's very easy to go off on that tangent, right? But I wanted to talk about this a little bit because it leads to resentment, it leads to sort of souring on the world, on the industry. And then funnily enough, once you start doing that and you start treating other people like they owe you something, they don't want to work with you as much. So now, not only you feel bad, but also you're ruining your own chances of ever getting to that place where you want it to get. Now, the reason I wanted to talk, all right, hang on, I need to take a little break here. Sorry, I had to take a little break because my phone went off. I know, I turned it off now. But the classic wisdom says, don't compare yourself to others. In order to avoid this pitfall altogether, do not compare yourself to others at all, because you're fighting your own fight, you're racing yourself, things like that. And there is truth to that. I'm about to talk about that as well in a second. But realistically speaking, if I'm in an industry and I see someone suddenly take ahead, or somebody come out of nowhere and go way ahead of me, I want to understand how they did it. My life is not long enough for me to only learn from my experiences. I want to look around and see if someone suddenly starts shooting off. What are they doing different? What is it that I can learn from them? I think it is okay to compare yourself to others in that sense, to see, oh, they're doing so much better than I am. What is it that they're doing? Are they better at, networking? Do they have a different mindset about how they audition? Do they, it's very important to look around and learn from the people that have either already made it or are in the same sort of level, same industry at the same level as you, but they might be doing things differently and they're getting better results. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to completely ignore everything going on around me and just be like, I'm just gonna focus on my own lessons and keep going. No. Again, life's too short for me to only learn from my experiences and my lessons. I'm gonna look around. And that applies to people that also do worse than I am at the moment, because I don't know when they're going to get better. And also I might have to, in order to understand the specifics, the nuances, I'm a big proponent of this. It's not enough to understand the good stuff. You need to understand the bad stuff, the possible mistakes that you can make as well, because then you've got a full picture and then you can navigate that space just so much better, because you can recognize when you're heading in that direction. If you don't know how that happened, how a project can fall apart or can end up looking worse than it had the potential to, if you're not aware of these little details, you're not going to know when to be like, oh, stop, we're going into the wrong direction, right? Now, what you should not do, and I'm a great believer in this, you should not sort of equate your entire worth and your entire, just self-esteem to how far you've gotten in life or how fast you got to where you got in life. And the reason for that is, which was like mind-blowing for me, I had this thought a while ago, was we don't get to choose where we start from. Geographically, that's an obvious one. But not only that, you also don't pick the available information in the environment that you start in, right? And that's just so much, like they're just, it's so much more massive of a change, of an impact on you as a person. Where you start geographically, I mean, it's relevant to a degree, and it's an obvious thing that you can deal with, hopefully. But what people don't realize is sometimes the knowledge that's available to you, the ideas, the philosophies around you have a much bigger and long-term effect on you as a person and on your career than just the geography itself. And I was thinking about this, like, again, it's obvious if you're born in the right city in an industry hub, whatever your industry is. I'm talking about acting because that's what I do. But if you're born in that hub and you're already there, it's going to be easier to make the connections, right? As opposed to someone who's born far, far away, right? But if you can be born in that city and be surrounded by information that's not useful to you. If you're born in a family, for instance, or in an environment that says, you shouldn't do that, creative arts are not a viable option. If you're shamed for your choice to even consider arts, if you're told you're not good enough, if you're not told about networking, if you said, do it yourself, don't ask for help, keep going ahead. Like, there's so many more ways you can get, not negative, but just destructive or just information that's, doesn't support you on your path. It's just, there's so many more possibilities to get that wrong. And most people get something wrong, even with the best intentions. That's the other thing you have to remember. People have the best intentions and you can still be given faulty information, right? So once you factor that into the grand scheme of things, then you suddenly sit back a little bit and go, okay, I probably shouldn't judge other people too harshly for their results, or I shouldn't envy them too much for their results either. Like, you should learn from the positives and the negatives, and I mean, it still sort of just blows my mind a little bit of like the information that's available around you, which you don't get to choose, can really shape the first 10, 20, 30 years of your life. I mean, we hear of people that, they finally sit down and have a conversation and realize they've been thinking something, they were looking at something, from a wrong perspective for decades, Like, so, the best thing you can do is, do you look at other people and do you see what's available out there, and do you try to step back from what you believe about the industry and yourself and regularly sort of challenge it and look at different perspectives and how other people do it? I think absolutely you should, because again, life's too short to only learn from your mistakes, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to think about this a bit more, but I'm absolutely fascinated by this concept of not just geography, but the ideas that are around you can have a massive impact on your life. And not only that, but you don't pick them in the beginning. After a while, you start making up your own mind. But yeah, that's been this week's episode. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you on the next one.